All right, welcome to today's training. Today we will be covering patient education for St. Mary's Legacy Clinic. For those of you who are joining us online, if you have any questions at any time, please put them in the chat box and I will answer them as we go. If you have any questions after the training, you can always reach out to us online via the info@smlcares.com for email or directly through our website via the comment box. So I'm going to start first with the actual login, since some people have had trouble with that. Your login will be the first letter of your first name, followed by your last name, and then often a number. And then you input your password. Just as a warning, you often have to change your password once every 3 months or less. I've been recommending to everybody that you just add a number to the end of your password, and that way you can keep the same password, but just change the number on the end. So at the next screen, you'll then select what clinic you're at for the day. If you accidentally select the wrong clinic, then it can be changed on the next page. So on the next page, down at the bottom on the right-hand side, you will be able to click on the clinic and then change to the appropriate clinic. So I'm going to say today we're in Rutledge. I just want to point out from this screen a couple things. So first, if you ever need to reset your screen, if you want to go back to the schedule, then you're going to click on AthenaNet in the upper left-hand corner up here. So if you click on AthenaNet, it will just reset everything. You can press that at any time because Athena saves as you go. So if you ever need to reset your screen, you can click AthenaNet. I found that it doesn't work as well if you click back. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I recommend either clicking the refresh button, the little arrow up here at the top, or clicking on AthenaNet, and that kind of gets you to start over. Another feature of Athena, if you ever need to send a message within Athena to the site manager or to, one of the other stations, then there's actually called Athena Text. Athena Text is down here in the right-hand corner. And with this little box down here, it's kind of like a conversation box. Mine's a 0 right now because I don't have any unread conversations. But if you did, it would have a number on there. So Beth Ann, if you have Athena up, I'm going to send you a message. And then if you could respond just as a demo. Okay. So I'm going to send Beth Ann a message. You would just click here. And then I'm going to click on the plus to start a conversation to Beth Ann. I'm going to say test is my topic. I'm going to send her a message that says test and then click send. And then I'm going to click on it again to make it disappear. So then once she responds, then we'll see a message pop up down in the corner. So in the meantime, this is just kind of your schedule in general. To be able to see all of the schedules throughout the week, then you're going to click on the plus up here in the top right-hand corner. Since Beth Ann sent back a message, we'll look at that first. So if you click on the little, now it's turned red and it says a 1. So I can click on that and I can see the message that she sent in return. So that's a great way to be able to communicate with your site manager, to communicate with people on board or off board. So again, going back to the calendar, you can click up here, the plus in the upper right-hand corner, and then select every department that you volunteer at. I go to all the sites, so I have all of them selected. But if you only volunteer at, one place or a couple places, then you only need to select those appropriate clinics, and then those schedules will appear for you. At the calendar up here, you can also select on a different date. So if you, volunteer here with St. Mary's Legacy Clinic in March Crab Orchard every month, then you can click on the next month and you can click on that date and you can see the schedule for that day to kind of preview what's upcoming. Okay, so that's a general overview of, what you're looking at here. Once the patient is ready for checkout, the area to the left of the patient's name will be gray and it will say checkout. So because the patient's ready for checkout, then we're going to go over here to this little arrow. So if you just click on the patient's anywhere on here, then it's actually going to take you into the patient's chart. but we want to go to checkout. So you need to click on the little arrow that's over here on the right. The arrow appears once you hover over it. So I'm going to click on the arrow and it will take me to the checkout screen. So from here, then I'm now on the checkout screen. I can see if there's been any appointments scheduled, if there's any patient education materials that have been ordered, or if there's anything else that needs to be printed for the patient. So we'll start first with scheduling the follow-up appointment. Under RTO, that's return to office orders, we'll have from the provider, we'll input, what the patient needs to be seen for next. So it looks like the patient needs to be seen in Rutledge towards the end of May. You'll notice that there's always going to be an exact date here, but we might not be in Rutledge, on May 27th. So what happens is when the provider inputs, follow up 3 months, it does 3 months exactly from today's date. So even if we don't have a, clinic at the end of May, we can still schedule for whenever we're in Rutledge in May. So I'm going to go ahead and click on schedule. That's right here. And then once I click on schedule, you'll notice for the next few months, it will show me exactly when we're in Rutledge in each month. One thing that sometimes appears for providers is if for some reason the provider did not click any provider, they clicked their name, which happens sometimes, then you'll notice that there are not any appointments available here. You need to click any provider up here to make the correct appointments show. And the reason for that is that we don't schedule our patients by provider, we schedule them by clinic. Okay, so we needed an appointment for Ann test for in May. So we'll go ahead and schedule that. I just want to show that I can see the next 3 months, but if you're doing a 6-month follow-up, you would click on the button over here, this little arrow. And so this would allow me to see the following 3 months. But I am going to schedule in May, so I'm going to click back. And I'm going to select in May. Okay. And so I selected May, and then you scroll down from there for May. So you'll see I can click on any of these. And you just, of course, ask the patient, prefer morning or afternoon. Clicked on, we'll say I clicked on 10:45 because of the test patient. I'm not actually going to schedule her, but then we would be able to select from there. Just to see it, I'll show it. So once I click on an appointment, then it shows here the appointment you selected, and then you can click appointment type. So you can, select if it's just a nurse only visit, if it's just a follow-up 15 or a telehealth. And then usually the physician tries to put in the follow-up reason, which will automatically populate for you. This is helpful because it can show up on the schedule so that we can get an idea from the schedule of, what patients will be seen for what conditions that day. But it's important to click add appointment note to homepage schedule from here. That's this little box, because from there, then it will show up on the schedule. If you don't click it, it will still show up in the patient's file, but it won't show up on the schedule. Okay, so I'm going to unclick that box because now I'm going to show you if you're scheduling a telehealth appointment. So this patient was ordered for a follow-up in Rutledge, but it's not uncommon for a patient to have a follow-up in clinic scheduled, but then also a telehealth visit requested. So if it's telehealth, then you're going to change these both to telehealth. So I'm going to do telehealth, and then this is still any provider, and we're going to do this as telehealth. So telehealth, and then telehealth. And from here, you'll be able to see all of the appointments available, typically just Wednesdays and Fridays, except the first Wednesday of the month since we're in Washburn. And so then you'll be able to click on a date, and then you'll be able to select your appointment. And it's the same process. I'll pick 10 a.m., on this date. And then again, it'll show you down here, make sure this is telehealth. And you'll say for the reason, the physician should have put that in, add appointment note to homepage schedule. And then you'll click schedule appointments. So I'm going to schedule this one, schedule, and then it will show up on your next page with an appointment confirmation. From here, you can give your patient their appointment reminder card with all the relevant information. And then you're going to go to appointment workflow. So by going to appointment workflow, then you'll be able to continue in anything that may be left for the patient's checkout process. So it brings us back to the same screen where we had been. That now I already used the return to office order, so that disappeared. And now you'll scroll down to see if there's anything else that needs to be printed. All of the labs were already taken care of by our office nurse team. And then we have 2 patient information packets to print. So these are both care instructions. Something that's nice about Athena is that when the physician puts in a diagnosis, they can choose to also input care instructions with those. We still have the care instructions available in the cabinet on the patient education station, so you're welcome to use those. But then additionally, the physician may order care instructions that you can print. So to print these, I'm going to go down here and I have these 2 already selected. So I'm going to print 2 selected. Make sure you have the right printer selected, and then you're going to be able to print. So I can just I'm not actually going to print it, but I can still preview. This is what's going to be printed. The physician put in order information on UTIs and then also the flu vaccine care instructions. So I'll be able to print those. And then of course, as the patient care person, you're also going to explain them with the patient, ask if there's any questions. Yes, Vivian.
Okay, so this information that the doctor ordered, for example, for the urinary tract infection, is this something that Athena has already input? So it's not like we have had to, St. Louis Legacy Clinic has had to do. It's already input. This information is already there available for us, and they can just pre-select whatever areas of those topics.
Exactly. So Vivian was asking, did we put, this patient education in there, or does Athena already have it? And the answer is that Athena already has these different patient education materials available. So of course, with that, there are varying degrees of, there might be some information that's lacking or some information that might be irrelevant to the patient. So then that's also up to the patient education person to, discuss with the patient. And sometimes materials that are provided aren't exactly what we're looking for. So that's why the physician might ask for one from the cabinet or might print off something separate.
So with the flu shot, we have our own separate papers that we're using. Are we still giving them that as well? Or
so it would only be if the question was, would the office nurses still give the flu vaccine information from their station in addition to this? And the answer is, so Sister Mary Lisa prescribed this kind of just as an example one. I've actually never seen the flu care instructions prescribed under here. So it's not impossible to receive both. Office nurses will continue giving out the care instructions for the flu vaccine. And then if for some reason, the patient requested more or the physician thought more was necessary, then they could order that as well. Okay. All right, so the next bit would be to scroll down here. And previously on the other registration example, we went through and I actually clicked patient declined patient portal access. I only declined that because for the sake of an example, but we encourage all of our patients to sign up for the portal. And I would encourage you all to encourage our patients to sign up for the portal. We have a little flyer that those who have not yet signed up should receive, and it's currently being given registration. But through the patient portal of Athena, they're able to access their lab results. They can request appointments. They can send us confidential messages. There's a lot of great features with the portal. And surprisingly, quite a few patients have been using it, which has been really great. And so we're encouraging all of our patients to register for the portal. And so if they haven't done so at this point, you can discuss it with them. And then you can click on the register patient and send them an email invitation. Of course, you need their email address to be able to do that, but then you can send them an email invitation for them to sign up at home. Yes, Vivian.
Okay, so this patient portal, I know we've been giving them information. You just stated that several of them have registered.
Mhm.
My question is, are most of them able to register on their own, or are some of us, our volunteers, helping them register?
Mhm.
Because I've not actually seen the process. I don't know how
Mhm.
that works.
Mhm. So the question is, where and when are the patients registering for the portal? So far, every patient who's registered for the portal has done so at home. We haven't had any patients actually ask for help yet. I mean, I'm sure there are patients who will need help registering for the portal. We have not yet helped patients, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's something we did in the future. But because we're just getting used to Athena, we haven't yet done that. But so far, they're doing it on their own. Because I've registered for my own patient portal for my PCP, I can tell you that you receive an email. There's a link to sign up for the portal, and then you put in, your basic information. It's a pretty straightforward process, but it's just an email with a link that takes you directly to the portal, and then you just select a login, etc. So, but we're not currently doing that on site. Okay, so the next area is the patient care summary. So the patient care summary includes basic information about the patient's visit for the day, any of their diagnoses, what the physician did or changed for the day, their medication list. And it can be really helpful for patients to review at home. So they can either access through the portal, their patient education summary, or you can print it for them. So right here, I'm going to click print one selected. If it wasn't selected, you would need to click it and then print one selected. And then from there, just make sure you have the right printer. And then you'd be able to look over the preview of what's included and then print that for the patient. If the patient does not want it, you would just click patient decline summary for this appointment. Yes, Vivian?
Okay, can you go back over that step again about how you just printed
Sure.
that
Okay.
right there? Okay, I see that.
So
Okay.
for any item that you want to print, you just click on the box next to it and then print one selected.
Okay, thank you.
And then same with these. If it didn't work to print them the first time, you just click on it again, click those two, and then print two selected.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, and then also in this area, just something to be aware of is that there may be more so up here. Sometimes there could be referrals to specialists. There could be orders for, radiology. If there's any kind of other orders besides those that we just covered, then those will be taken care of by staff. So you don't have to worry about those. If there's specialists, etc., those will be taken care of by staff. So that's everything for patient education. Any questions?
Okay,
Mhm.
so they will be taken care of by staff. Is that noted? Staff is taking care of this, staff will take care of this? Or how will we, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but how will we know that? Is it listed on there? Did I miss it?
So it wasn't listed on here because there were no specialists ordered for and test. But if there had been, a referral to
They would be
a gynecologist, for example, then it would show up in this area. It's not here, so I can't show it to you, but it would be another subtitle like specialist or something like that.
How staff know?
It shows up in our clinical inbox. So just like the office nurse uses the clinical inbox for labs, etc. So the specialist orders also will show up in the clinical inbox. And so that's the patient education. It doesn't say, on there taken care of by staff, but I'm telling you that it's taken care of by staff.
Okay. So like patient education position doesn't necessarily have the inbox with those items stated, like as an office nurse. Is that correct? Like,
Can you say that again?
Like, okay, for example, when we were reviewing the office nurse to the left, the inbox, and those different labs that needed to be drawn. So for example, because patient education is a different entity, we don't necessarily have an inbox with specifics that we need to do,
Mhm.
correct? There's
Mhm.
not an inbox for us,
Mhm.
correct?
Yes, because you won't be clicking there was the box that I showed at the beginning where if you were to need a clinical inbox, which patient education does not,
Correct.
if you were to need an inbox, then you would click on certain items,
Mhm.
but there will not be anything that will show for patient education unless you clicked on those items, but it's not necessary for patient ed.
Okay, and that inbox does not appear for triage and or medical history?
It does appear. So the question is about the clinical inbox. So I will finish the checkout with this patient and then go back to that. But we're done here, correct? Just before I go back to it. Okay, so we're done with checkout. So I click done with checkout. When we click done with checkout, it shows you, just the overall patient summary. Everything should be all set now. But you can, from here, click on AthenaNet to take you back to the schedule. And from there, you'll be able to see the patient says checked out. There's no longer the gray here. You're completely done. So the question was about the clinical inbox. For the patient education person, including triage, every position really except office nurse, all of these should be zeros. The way you would make them not zeros is if you would, click on some of these, to view that person's inbox or that location's relevant information. But the only position that actually needs to use the clinical inbox is the office nurse. Every other position does not need to worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Kim, I'm sorry if you were waiting for a long time. I just saw your name pop up on there, but this will be recorded, so you'll be able to see it again, and I'm happy to walk you through it too. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all so much. The last thing I want to show for patient education is how to print a schedule. So usually your schedules will be printed for you. But in the case that, sometimes patient education does need to print them, then you will do it from this screen. So from this screen, you're going to go up to calendar and you're going to click today's appointments. On today's appointments, then you'll be able to select the right appointment. We're in Rutledge on February 28th, and I'm going to click go. Okay, from here, and if you wanted to click at future clinic, you could click that as well. But we're going to select today. And then from here, I'm going to click today again down here. So I'm going to click today. And then it's going to show me any appointments for today. So I can click or unclick any information that I want to show. I like to hide the free slots. And then if you want any other information to show, you can select that there. And then click print version. Of course, today we only had a test patient, so that's why there's only one, but that's how you would click to print the schedule for the day. Okay. That is all of the information that I have for patient ed, but if you have any other questions. Sure.
When we were doing flu shots the last time when you were with me at Athens, I was able to put it in, but then it wouldn't show up on my computer. It showed up on yours over at the patient ed place.
So that was because I have a different view. So the question was, how come sometimes things show up for one position, but they don't show up for another? So the reason was that I have a different view since I have the admin view. If there's ever something you can't find, you're always welcome to call me over or call, Beth Ann or the site manager over and we can try to look for it. But I'd say that was a special case. Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, again, reach out to us on our website or at info@smlcares.com. And we're always happy to answer questions and we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.